Hi, everyone. This is Tammy, owner of Worthyworthitpriceless, and today's podcast is titled It's Your Time, Go. So, on Tuesday of this week, I was taking my daughter to my mom's house, which is nothing new because she watches her while I work. So, I'm taking her to my mom's house. But today was a little different, or that day was a little different. Because one, I went a route that I normally never go. I went down the main road. Usually I go the back way to my mom's house. I went down the main road. But the thing was, every light was green. And even if it wasn't green as I was approaching, by the time I got there, it was green. Now, this happened basically almost all day. I went to my mom's house. It was green. Every light was green. I came back, driving back to my job. Every light was green. I had to go to the doctor's office that day as well. Everything was green. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that never happens. And what I was realizing is just that God is telling us that it's our time. It's time to go. And a lot of you may not feel that way, or some of you might see it as well. It's like you realize that everything is just falling into place. It may not be when you want it to, but everything is falling into place. And just recently, actually yesterday, so that will be October 28th. As you all know, if you've been following on the podcast, you've seen that I talked to Jagged Edge a couple of weeks ago, September 17th, and I sent out the books, and they're supposed to get them on Monday. It didn't happen that they got them on that day, or actually not Monday of this week, but Monday of last week they were supposed to get it. And something happened, and they weren't at it's just like a weird story. I'm going to tell you really quick. I got a message that the books were going to be delayed, even though they were already in Atlanta. But then around 6 o'clock that night, I got another message saying that the books were delivered at 1 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then on Wednesday, which is the day that Jagged Edge has their radio show, Kyle from the group messaged me, and he was like, I don't have the books. Like, I went to the post office, they're not there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, fast forward, and like he was pretty bummed, I was pretty bummed. I'm like, man, but I always knew that God's timing is perfect. Fast forward to this Wednesday, which was October 28th. I'm watching Jagged Edge they were on their radio show. Well, they have a radio show, and they have one that's on the Station Head app, but you can also see the visuals on Facebook. So I'm watching it like normal, and the next thing I know, there's this box that comes into view, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks like my box. And the next thing I know, it's like I hear them talking and everything, and Kyle is pulling out my book from the box. I'm like, oh my God. And so anyway, they got the books. They gave me 2 shout outs. They gave me a shout out while they weren't on air, but they were on Facebook and I could see them. And then they gave me another shout out once they were actually on air on Station Head and everything like that. So I wanted to give you that encouragement as well. You don't know how God is going to do anything. And the funny thing about it is, it's so funny that they didn't get it last week. And the thing was, the audio from last week was kind of messed up. So if they would have gotten it last week, I probably wouldn't have been able to hear them. That's why I say that God's timing is always perfect. This week I was able to hear them, everything. It was amazing. But I said all that as well to say that it is your time. I have went through hell If you've been paying attention to the podcast, I've been telling you everything that has been happening, especially like over the last 3 years with the breakup, and then my daughter and her the issues with the autism, and learning how to be a single mom, and then writing this book, all of these things. And God has turned my life around. I would have never imagined that any of this would have happened as far as stepping out on faith. I realize now, and it is the craziest thing, and I know it's something that people always tell you, like, your life is in God's hands, and God's plans are this, that, and the third, and his plans are better than yours, and all of that. But to actually imagine it and actually live through it, and when it's the point of you surrendering and God moving through your life, that's what I mean. It's your time, go. I have always been like super independent, and I'm trying to do everything myself, like I stated before. And my life didn't change until I let go of control. And once again, that's the encouragement I want to give you. Just let go of control and let God do what he does best. His timing is always perfect. Just like what I said, if they would have got the books last week, it probably wouldn't have worked out as well. But God knew exactly what he was doing. So I am basically over the moon right now. But at the end of the day, just trust in God. It is your time. I know that you might be afraid. I know that some of you may be in the place where I am right now. All of a sudden, opportunities are coming out of the blue, and you're like, yo, where did all this come from, and all this other stuff. But still seek God. Still take your time. There's a funny thing also, too. And this is kind of like switching gears, but it's on the same subject. When I was driving, now mind you, like I said, as I was approaching the lights, they were red. But by the time I got there, they turned green. And the funny thing was, it was like I had a car in front of me that was going slow as heck. And I'm like, dude, the light is green. Go. You know what I mean? And that's how it might be in your life too. It's like somebody is possibly trying to stop you from moving forward, but you can't let them stop you. The thing is, God gave you the green light. He allowed you to walk through that door. He allowed that opportunity to be open for you. Don't let anyone slow you down from doing what you're supposed to be doing or what God has called you to do. Don't doubt yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Don't rethink anything. God gave you the go ahead, so you follow through and you go through those doors and you let your presence be known. It doesn't mean you have to be all braggy and boastful, but you are supposed to be in that room, whatever room it is. God wouldn't allow you to be in that room if you weren't supposed to be there. So don't second guess yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Know that you have this because God gave it to you. Don't shrink back. Don't be afraid or nothing. God gave you the ability, and he's telling you the time is now. Don't be afraid. Move forward in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, and everything will work out for you. You got this. God's got you. Always know that you have worth. You have value. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And until next time, bye.